sooner or later you're going to have to slow down on it, You can't live the single life forever. You know what I mean? Oh, shit, you're back. Let's rock, baby.
Do you crave exciting sports takes and news? Fed up with the same old boring voices you hear on the radio? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you just might be a TBloomaholic. Lucky for you, it's time for another episode of the TBloom Talk Show, the #1 sports podcast in the world. Settle in, my TBloomanites, because another episode starts right now. Live from TBloom headquarters, here's your host, TBloom.
You ready? Jess? Steven? Welcome back, TBloom Nation, to another episode of the TBloom Talk Show. I'm your host, of course, Mr. TBloom himself, and it is a Wednesday afternoon at this point, 12 o'clock in the Tacoma area, Tacoma, Washington, that is, Pacific Northwest. What other place would you be at? We have a very, I would say, beautiful day in terms of the standards for Tacoma in March. We got a little bit of a sun peeking out through the clouds, which you know what that means. If it's March and there's sun, it must be spring no matter how cold it is. Feeling really glossy today, really shiny, really polished, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about a few things swirling around the NFL so far this offseason. And then we'll touch on a little bit of Drama Llama entering UFC 313 this Saturday in Las Vegas. So with that being said, let's get it off right, heading to the NFL. Showing. Take a sip of my coffee, all black with a hint of cinnamon. Just enough to get you where you need to be, but not quite enough to break your fast, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let's touch base in the NFL real quick. Reports circulating that the Bengals are going to franchise tag T. Higgins. He will be paid $26.2 million, somewhere in there, this season for 1 year. This will be the second year that the Bengals have decided to place the tag on the receiver. And a little bit of confusing move for me. So coming into this offseason, you got to think that they had three crucial boxes to check off in terms of signing their players. Number one being Ja'Marr Chase, the best receiver in the NFL. Number two being Defensive Player of the Year runner-up Trey Hendrickson. And three, of course, T. Higgins. Now, technically, they've checked off one of those three boxes, but in my perspective, in my eyes as a Steeler fan, T. Higgins wasn't necessarily number one priority. In all honesty, I think he was the third priority in terms of the order of which those three players had come in. And every team, every year, has one card that they can play to guarantee that a player goes nowhere besides their team that year. So, that being the franchise tag. And the Bengals decided to franchise tag T. Higgins. Now, they haven't came to terms of agreement with Ja'Marr Chase. They haven't came to a contract agreement with Trey Hendrickson. So they've already used their card that guarantees one of those three to stay on the team. And maybe not play, but at least that he's not going anywhere. They've already used that card for probably their third most important priority in the offseason. That's questionable to me. Wouldn't you want to have that as backup if Ja'Marr Chase doesn't want to agree to anything long-term, doesn't like the contract you're coming up with, or even Trey Hendrickson? Now, maybe they've had talks, Ja'Marr Chase and the Bengals, about Ja'Marr's already expressed and communicated to them that if he was to be tagged, that he would not play. That could be a possibility. Maybe Trey Hendrickson has had that same kind of communication with the Bengals. If that's the case, then I guess you do have to go with T. Higgins, but I haven't heard any reports about them communicating that to the Bengals, that they wouldn't play under a franchise tag. And you're paying T. Higgins $26.2 million this year. That's going to be kind of hard to come up with another blockbuster sort of contract for Ja'Marr Chase, which he deserves, and I'm sure that's what he's holding out for. So you don't even have the backup to place that on Ja'Marr Chase if he doesn't agree to any of your long-term extensions. And then you can't even use it for Trey Hendrickson if he doesn't even want to go forward with whatever you're willing to offer him for a long-term extension. So it's really a questionable move. I feel like Obviously, I'm no GM. I just feel like they kind of jumped the gun. Like, they needed that backup for a potential disastrous negotiation between Jamar Chase or Trey Hendrickson. So, yeah, interesting move there. But nonetheless, T. Higgins will be tagged again. He will be one of the highest paid player or receivers in the league again. And I don't know. Let me know, Cincinnati fans. Am I stupid here? Is there something I'm not seeing? Do you agree with it? Would you have rather placed a tag on someone else? Let me know in the comments below your opinion, because I'm interested in kind of seeing that perspective. I'm not sure. But then again, I'm a Steeler fan. What the fuck do I know about Cincinnati? In other receiver free agency news, let me take a sip of my coffee. Wrong way. In other receiver free agency news, Davante Adams has officially been released by the New York Jets. They have also gave permission for Allen Lazard to seek a trade. Now, that probably won't happen. He'll probably not get the trade, or it just won't happen, and he'll probably be released sometime before free agency. But this ultimately ends the era of the Aaron Rodgers, quote-unquote, era in New York. And man, what a absolute shit show. But I think it's a little bit of relief for the New York Jets. They can finally take all of that weight, all of that pressure of being a Super Bowl contender off of their shoulders, and they can really focus and really come back to reality of, hey, you're the New York Jets. You're in rebuild mode. You got to find that quarterback. You still don't have those pieces to be successful, but all the, pressure's off, so to speak. But also a great feeling and a great day for those cheeseheads out there as they seen two of their former franchise players have it all blow up in their face. They thought the grass was greener over in MetLife. Turns out it ain't even real grass in MetLife. You know where the real grass is, that real earthy foundational grass is. It's in Lambeau where you left it. Ha ha, from cheeseheads to the New York Jets, or to Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams more specifically. Is that the overall consensus in the Green Bay Packer community? Did you guys wish Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams and this whole thing would fail? Or were you guys more on the side of, hey, we respect them, they gave us great years, we want to see them succeed because of all the, great moments and memories that they have? Which way were you, Green Bay Packer fans? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm interested to see the overall consensus of the Green Bay Packers fans on that topic. But yeah, it sparks the end of an era, I guess. I mean, it all did not come to fruition. It was an absolute disaster for both players, and Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers, and even Allen Lazard. I think Allen Lazard doesn't deserve as much quote-unquote hate, so to speak, because, this was a legitimate free agency guy. Packers didn't want to bring him back, and he had good relations with Aaron Rodgers, so he kind of ended it up on there. But Davante Adams, he thought he was going to go do big things with his former college QB, Derek Carr. That didn't do very well. Then he thought he's going to team up with Aaron Rodgers last year, and everything would be, patty cake, give a dog a bone. Guess what? It wasn't. It was an absolute shite show. Following up on that, Jets are going to receive a $29.9 million cap freeage, which is going to help them so much in this free agency. So that's all you got to say about that. In other Green Bay Packer-related news, Mason Crosby has officially retired from the NFL at age 40. Spent 17 years in the league, 16 of them with Green Bay, and one 3-game stint last year with the New York Giants. Man, it feels like I don't want to say heroes, but my childhood players are just falling off one by one. Mason Crosby coming into the league in 2007 when Brett Favre was still a QB. 2007, that's arguably 3 eras ago, depending on how you want to chop it up. Put in perspective, Tom Brady hadn't even played his 10th season yet. He was still a young gun. We didn't even know what he was going to be. He had still only had 3 Super Bowl rings. He wasn't GOAT status yet. This was a time when Peyton Manning just got his first Super Bowl, or was about to get his first Super Bowl. Think about how long ago that was. I mean, man, to be playing in 2007, a whole different game, a whole different era. I mean, this is the LaDainian Tomlinson days, prime days, Sean Alexander, Matt Hasselbeck, fucking, what's his name from the Ravens? Yeah, the Ravens. Troy Smith days from Ohio State, Joe Flacco young days. I mean, this was not even Joe Flacco. This was, what's his name? Steve McNair, rest in peace. This is Steve McNair era, where Mason Crosby was coming in kicking field goals, and he kept it going for 17 years, the longevity to be able to play at that position. By the way, did I mention he never missed a game? Guy never missed a game. Not once. So where does he rank in all-time kickers of all time? Of all time, where does he rank? I mean, he's got 400 made field goals. Hit the 400 mark. That's a pretty good, milestone to complete. He's got 167 field goals that took the lead in his career. That's fifth most of all time. Fifth most all-time kickers. There's a lot of good ones out there. He's number 5 on that list. But he was a lot more than that. He also had 28 combined tackles throughout his career. He also has a fumble recovery on his career. And he also has one of the more impressive plays that a kicker has had that I can remember. Check this out.
And the kick is taken a yard in by Cordero Patterson, who's very dangerous, into Green Bay territory. And he loses the ball after he gets to the 30-yard line. And the Packers have it.
Unbelievable. He gets loose with the kicker chasing him from behind. Watch Crosby swat it out. What a play.
Yeah, old Mason Crosby coming in clutch for the Packers. Did they go on to lose that game? Sure. But they had a chance. For the kicker. No, I'm going to say the special teamsman. Mason Crosby making a play. I mean, what kicker can say they got a forced fumble 5 minutes left in the game to give their team the ball back with a one-possession chance of, making it happen? I mean, Mason Crosby, love him or hate him, you got to respect him. By the way, he made $44.8 million in his total career earnings for kicking the ball. Kicking the ball. Something people do, they don't even notice they do it every day. Anybody can kick a ball. Now, obviously, I understand it's kicking the ball through a field goal, but in retrospect, let's look at he played for Aaron Rodgers, or with Aaron Rodgers for the majority of his career. They weren't down very much. He didn't have to make high-pressure kicks every single week. I mean, was he clutch? Sure. Did he have some game winners? Sure. But this guy was going out there, lackadaisical, having a good time, chilling on the bench, meeting some Hall of Famers, winning a Super Bowl. I mean, this guy's had a good 17-year life. $44.8 million to come in and just kind of float around and watch Aaron Rodgers do what he does for the majority of his career. I got to say, I'll be teaching my son how to kick. I'll be having my son kick balls. You know what I mean. Kick balls in the backyard. Hell of a career. Next best thing you could be, I guess, is a backup quarterback or maybe a punter. Or maybe a placeholder. With that being said, Mason Crosby, thank you for your 17 years service in the NFL. We will miss you. Get healthy. And maybe we'll see you in the Hall of Fame one day. Probably not, though. Probably not. Another thing I want to touch on, Max Crosby came out on the Rush podcast and had some very favorable words for Aaron Rodgers. We're really staying Aaron Rodgers-centric kind of in this NFL segment today. Had some good words for Aaron Rodgers. This isn't verbatim, but for the majority of what he said was He thinks Aaron Rodgers is going to have a comeback year. He thinks he's got a lot more in the tank, and he would love to see him in Vegas next year. Said it would be legendary. Legendary? No. No, I don't think it'd be legendary. Sad? Yes. Desperate? Sure. Maybe a little bit of crazy? Yeah. But legendary? No. No. That is not going to be legendary. It's going to be weird if I see Aaron Rodgers in I almost said the Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders jersey next year. It's not going to look good. I'm not going to say it's going to be a clusterfuck, but what do the Raiders have that the Jets didn't have? Not much, right? Not much at all. Talent, they don't have as much as the Jets had in offense. Their defense ain't as good as the Jets were. I think they're a lot more things away from than Aaron Rodgers coming in. They're a lot more pieces away from being competitive than Aaron Rodgers simply coming in and playing quarterback. That's all I'm saying. Max Crosby, I don't blame you at all. I mean, Max is looking for any kind of wishful thinking that he can because he didn't have much last year. He had Gardner Minshew, which is a straight dog. I respect Gardner Minshew. Love to see him win, but he's not going to be a franchise quarterback that's going to take you to the playoffs. And Max Crosby, he's getting in the later years of his career. Kind of coming to the, holding point of, do I want to maintain being a Raider for my whole career? Is it worth having that being on my resume? Or is it worth maybe jumping into a new team who's competitive, who I can maybe chase some actual meaningful wins and maybe a playoff win, maybe a playoff run, Super Bowl run with some team? I don't know. He's looking for anything he can to maybe, motivate himself and maybe trick himself into believing, hey, we got a shot here at being competitive here in Las Vegas. So I don't blame him for that. But I will say I do not think this is going to be legendary. If anything, it will be kind of just sad, I think. Just kind of sad. So that's all I got to say about that. Moving on. And as I was just ended that segment, we have 2 breaking news. First, oh my goodness, we're having a lot. I'm just going to spitball them right now. First, coming in, Raiders and Max Crosby have reached a 3-year, $106.5 million extension. This makes him one of the highest paid DNs in the league. I'm not sure if it's exactly the highest. Holy shit. This goes right back to what I was saying about him and Aaron Rodgers. He wants to trick himself into believing if they get Aaron a Hall of Fame QB, they can make a difference. They have a chance. They won't, but this is fucking perfect for what I was saying. Next one. Sources say star receiver DK Metcalf has officially requested a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. And wow, let me start spitballing teams. Where could he possibly land up? Dare I say Pittsburgh? No, we don't want him. We already got a guy named George Pickens. A little bit of we got to handle him first. I don't want to bring in another guy like with a head on his shoulders like those guys do. Just too much drama in the locker room. Plus, we need a lot more than DK Metcalf to be. We need a lot more than DK Metcalf. But what about the Patriots, though? Bring DK? Ugh, that stank. For Drake May? Get little Drakey May a toy out there? I don't know. I can see the Chiefs somewhat being in this a little bit. I mean, the Chiefs, they got a way of making the cap work for them. And DK on that team, that could immediately boost them back to Super Bowl favorites. Who else we thinking? Something's telling me that the Ravens are dabbling in there. I can see the Ravens doing a little something. Maybe the Cowboys? I don't know. So many options, man. So many options. Maybe the Raiders. Maybe this is the star player they need to bring in to bring Aaron Rodgers. Ooh, maybe the Giants. Man, my mind's running wild. Who do you think DK Metcalf's going to get traded to? Also, another Seahawks news. Seahawks have released Tyler fucking Lockett. End of an era for Seattle. T-Lock is out. DK is out. It's Jackson Smith and Ajigba's time. Is he ready for that kind of pressure? I don't know. Let's keep going down the list here. This is awesome. Breaking news. Bears trading for all-pro guard Tooney from the Chiefs. They're trying to get Caleb secure, make sure that he's, not getting sacked 5-6 times a game, whatever how much it was. Cowboys rework Dak's contract and add $36.6 million to the cap. Cowboys coming in trying to make a move. Yes! This is the shit I live for in the offseason. This is what you got to live for. When it's offseason football, you got to hold on to any kind of excitement you can because you ain't getting it every Sunday. You may not get it more than 2-3 times a month. So, exciting day so far. Jags are releasing veteran receiver Christian Kirk. Where's he going to go? I can see him landing in Pittsburgh somehow. And the Raiders are expected to release Gardner Minshew, which, I think Gardner's best served on a Super Bowl contending team, something like the Chiefs, as a backup. Because, man, he's above average backup, and he can potentially win a game for you if he's on that hot streak. If that fucking mullet's flowing the right way, wind breeze is at that perfect temp, you know what I mean? He can win a game for you. Wow, a lot of breaking news on the TBloom Talk Show today. I love it. Most breaking news. Shout out Vince back there, giving me the go-ahead to release it. Man, I got to take a sip of coffee for that. That's going to do it for the NFL segment. A lot to unpack there. You guys digest that. Look it up. Bring in your own sort of remarks or beliefs or really anything in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like and show your friends. Maybe they'll like it too. I don't know. Maybe create 5 different YouTube accounts and like them with all that so I can boost my numbers. I don't know. I bring these options to you. Take them as you will. We're going to move on to the UFC 313 card. A little bit of drama llama going on in the main event. And I also want to talk about the co-main event too. But before that, let's get into the main event. It came out yesterday or today. Alex Pereira is claiming Ankalaev is cheating. Not for the fight, but he's cheating on his religion. So this month, March, marks the Islamic 9th month in the Islamic calendar, which means it's Ramadan time, which means this is a time period where people of the Islamic faith take time to fast, do prayer, and come together as a community. Yes, I Wikipedia'd that. Tell me if I'm wrong. But we will need to focus on the fasting part. So, in essence, the Islamic faith believes during this time period, this month, you are not to eat from sunrise to sunset, is what I gathered and from my understanding. Ankalaev being a Muslim, he's got to balance that and the fight game at the same time. To not be able to eat before your training or directly after your training is going to affect not only your stamina, but your recovery. It's going to affect your whole, percentage of you that you're willing to give. The idea is to come into the fight at 100% your best. Hard to do that when you can't get the nutrition during the certain time of day that you need in order to, like I said, recover and to have that 100% stamina and strength and to really be able to fine-tune and craft your game so that you're the best version of yourself when you make that walk to the octagon. Now, with that being said, Alex Pereira is claiming that he ain't even doing it. Saying that he ain't even doing the whole Ramadan fasting thing. He ain't being a true Muslim. Now, I don't know if I'd go that far, but it seems to be an attack on the man's faith. And that's some pretty touchy stuff. You don't talk about wives, you don't talk about children or family and that whole stuff, and religion's kind of right up there. Talk about how you may not be 100% being the best practitioner of your faith. My whole point is, those are some pretty, that's kind of an awfully hot coffee pot if you really think about it, to just come out and say that about the guy. Now, the reason why this is all came out is Alex Pereira pretty much said when he went to the cafeteria at the UFC Performance Institute, he went to go grab his lunch with his name on it, took a little peeky poo. Whoa, what's that? It's got Ankalaev's name on it. It's midday. Sun shining. Fire blazing. Why is he eating? He shouldn't be eating right now if he's really following the whole fasting period. Says that he's going to be using that, the whole fasting thing, as a built-in excuse for why he may potentially lose in this fight coming up this Saturday, Las Vegas, UFC 313. A built-in excuse that, hey, he didn't have the proper nutrition. He didn't have the, perfect training camp and didn't have the proper things that it takes to be able to bring your best version to yourself because of the fasting period. But Alex Pereira's already saying, hey, he ain't even fasting, so don't even let him say some shit like that. Now it has come out, reports have surfaced that Ankalaev is, in fact, not fasting during this specific week, fight week. He's not fasting during this period because obvious reasons. He needs to be able to make sure that he actually lives in order to see the octagon for the weight cut and so on and so forth. So there is some truth to it. Ankalaev did kind of come out and admit, but still, Alex Pereira put it out there for the world. He's the one bringing it up. Would Ankalaev even admit to that if it hadn't been for Alex Pereira's report? I don't know. But it's an awfully hot coffee pot between those two right now. Going to be an interesting fight. A little bit of gasoline on the fire, if you will. Last thing I want to talk to you guys about today is the UFC co-main event for UFC 313, the one I'm kind of most excited for. You got Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev 2. This will be the second time they clash. And I got a little bit of weird vibes from it, especially from the bookmakers on this one, the sports books. Right now, Justin Gaethje sits at a plus 130 dog, and Rafael Fiziev sits at a minus 160 favorite. Now, those aren't super far away from even odds, which I was expecting when this fight got announced. But I'm not so sure the sports books got it right. Did Justin Gaethje not win by unanimous decision last time they fought? He did, yeah? Now, you could argue that Fiziev may have won that fight. He for sure won round 1. 2, Gaethje has a little bit of an edge there, but for sure 3, he lost. So I guess you could give that argument. But are we so sure that Rafael Fiziev has gotten better? I mean, did he not tear his ACL 2 years ago against Merab? Did he not just get confirmed to be ready for performance 4 months ago by the UFC? I mean, did he not take this fight on a week notice? Like, are none of these factors being contributed into whoever's making these odds? Am I crazy? Maybe Justin Gaethje's gotten worse. I'm not so sure that's the case. He went against Max Holloway. He got beat for 5 rounds straight, sure, and then he put it all on the fucking line like the dog that he is. You should shake that man's hand if you ever watched a fight, or if you watched that fight specifically, shake that man's hand. Gets knocked out. I wouldn't call it a lucky punch, but damn, that doesn't happen very often. 5th round, last 10 seconds, you start brawling. Max Holloway, not usually a KO kind of guy. He'll TKO you with volume, but not necessarily that power punch kind of guy. Gets knocked out, and it is what it is. But, I mean, do you think he got worse after that? Let's keep going with this. Rafael Fiziev, ACL tear. One of the big problems that I personally think, and a lot of other people would agree with, a lot of other MMA fans or reporters or people in that realm, one of the big things was his gas tank. Rafael sort of about halfway through round 3 started not being as fast, not as explosive, started getting touched with that jab by Justin Gaethje. I mean, if that was a 5-round fight, do you think Fiziev gets better during that fight? I don't think so. And guess what? This is a 5-round fight. Rafael's going to have to go 5 rounds. I don't think Justin Gaethje should be the dog here. In fact, I think he should be a little bit of the favorite. Am I fucking crazy? Let me know. What do you think? It's just an interesting thing, man. It's like sometimes I'm just thinking, am I fucking nuts or am I fucking a genius? I like to go with genius. Maybe I am nuts. So that's an interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think about that fight. I'm interested. I'm really interested. Call me crazy. Call me, correct if you want. But I just don't think Justin Gaethje should be the underdog. Rafael Fiziev, we'll see. This Saturday, UFC 313. That's going to end it for this episode of the TBloom Talk Show. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you stayed the whole time. If you didn't, well, I need to get better then. Need to keep you guys drawn in. With that being said, though, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, like, tell your friends to watch. They don't have to like. They can make a couple. Oh shit! They can make a couple profiles and give me some likes to boost. I don't mind that. I don't care. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Ronnie, Troy. You guys got anything to say? No. All right. Well, we will see you Friday morning for my official UFC 313 predictions and bets of the night. We're hoping to make it a very lucrative and financially responsible night this Saturday. That's going to do it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm out.